Welcome to Perception versus Reality, Sports and Culture. Please enjoy this PvR interview, like our Facebook page, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All right, welcome to PvR Sports, where we have another interviewing session. And today we are interviewing a Pine Bluff High Zebras great and a former Paul Quinn football player, and now a great coach coaching a top 2 high school team in the nation, Michael Williams. Michael Williams played football at Pine Bluff High from the year 1999 to 2001. He was a 3-time All-Conference player. He was Hooten's Arkansas Sophomore of the Year in 1999. He was second-team All-State his junior year, and he also made the All-Southeastern Arkansas team his sophomore year. At college, with Paul Quinn, Michael Williams played running back for 2 years. His sophomore year, he had 1,300 all-purpose yards and 4 TDs, 900 rushing, 400 receiving. And after that, he got his degree. Unfortunately, players Q-Dog, players don't make us high five, and he became a coach. And one of the things I like about Michael, as far as his coaching career, he's teaching these right players to focus on the right things, not just the football field, but he's teaching them to focus on getting their grades, making sure they have the right ACT scores, so they can, as he called it, get that money and get to the next level and play college football. I think it's amazing what he's doing, and I think it's great. Michael, thank you for interviewing with us today. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing good, man. It's a pleasure, man, that you bring me on, man. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. So I want to get started by asking you about your background. Like, how did you get started in sports and growing up in Pine Bluff, as rough as we know it is, and we were able to make it out? Tell me about your background and what led to you becoming that superstar high school football player.
Man, my background growing up, man, it was just like you said, it was rough growing up. I mean, my parents and them, they didn't have much at the time of me growing up. So probably about the age of 5, we lived right down the street from this park, Central Park there in Pine Bluff, and we ended up joining this team called the West Side Tigers, and from there is almost history.
Yep. I remember West Side Tigers.
West Side Tigers. So as I came up through the West Side Tigers, of course, I lived down the street from what's called the Circle. It was a rough and tough neighborhood, but through football, we were able to bring some pride to the community over there. And it used to be us and versus a lot of the teams, Eastside, I think it's Eastside Rams and the Angels and all these teams like that. And they kind of, drove me to say, okay, you know what? I think I can make this football thing a career. So as we got into middle school, I went to Southeast Middle School, and as a career-wise, I kind of built a reputation of being a tough running back.
Yes, you did.
And which led up to me getting an opportunity to play down here in Texas. We get a chance. Our freshmen are all at the same school as the sophomore, juniors, and seniors. But in Pine Bluff, as a freshman, you're technically not a freshman. You're still in middle school.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I get a chance to play my freshman year in high school because I was still in junior high. But my junior high 9th grade team, we went 10-0. We had a lot of accolades, and everybody thought this was going to be the team that bring the state championship back to Pine Bluff.
Absolutely. And let me talk to Mike real quick. Going back to you talking about your playing with the West Side Tigers and developing into this, tough running back. I remember those years because me and you had our own battles back and forth. And I can remember I remember one year the Tigers and the Rams were playing for the Super Bowl. And I think it was you or either Pooh, had a halfback pass and I picked it off. And I ran it back 80 yards, and you walked. I ain't gonna say you walked me down. I still feel like you had an angle to this day.
I walked you down.
You had that angle, and you pushed me out of bounds on the 2-yard line. And all we had to do with Eddie Ringo at quarterback is punch the ball in, and we would have made it to the Super Bowl. And you guys stopped us 4 straight downs, and everybody was mad at me for not diving in the end zone after that game. So so everybody that's listening, that's my bad experience with Michael Williams. He cost me a Super Bowl because I thought I had it easy. I thought I was going to walk into the end zone, and he hustled and knocked me out of bounds. So I remember my dad will never let me forget it, Mike. He would never let me forget that.
Right.
But
I think that was the start of a relationship with me and your dad as well. Because I have a great relationship with your dad. I think that's what started it.
Exactly. Absolutely. So Mike and I played baseball together also, and we made an all-star team together. Mike was a great catcher. I mean, made amazing plays, had a killer arm coming from the backstop as a 12-year-old. I ain't talking about a 14 to 15, I'm talking 12-year-old. So, Mike, tell us a little bit about, just your all-around sports, like athletic ability, like playing baseball, playing football, playing basketball, and all the battles we had. Like, how did that help you later on in your high school career?
Yeah. Right. Okay. So the thing is, I kind of was always a football player. I never got a chance to really play basketball or baseball. I have a friend by the name of Terrence Coleman. We call him Pooh. His dad had a little baseball team going on, and he asked me, "Hey man, you want to try to learn how to play baseball?" And me in the backyard, I always throwing and catching with my uncles. It wasn't nothing new to me, but it was new to me because I never played organized baseball. Same as basketball. I always played hoops in the backyard with my uncles, but never really played organized basketball either. But, got a chance to play organized baseball, basketball, and pretty much, just the stuff that I learned just throwing and catching in the backyard translated to on the field. And I ended up being a pretty good bad catcher, I may say, in baseball, and a pretty good point guard in basketball. All around, those tools that I learned in football actually helped me for the things that I was able to accomplish in baseball and basketball.
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't know that I actually made first team all conference as a freshman playing baseball in college. And I kind of gave up baseball. I kind of gave up baseball after my second year because I was really, really trying to focus on football and making it in football. But I could have possibly pretty much made it in baseball as well. I played baseball in high school, all conference in baseball as well. Going into my senior year, I played for the legendary Billy Box. A lot of players came from under him, such as Torrey Hunter, all those good players, Basil Shabazz. Going into my senior year, I kind of said, you know what, I'm going to be through with baseball so I can focus on running track that year, knowing that it hurt me dearly to let baseball go, but I just knew that in order for me to be the best football player I could be, I decided to let it go and go ahead and run track my senior year in high school.
And what's crazy, Mike, is I always felt like you were just as good in baseball as you were in football. Those two sports were even. So I always wondered why you stopped playing, because I was like, man, you could have made it any sport, especially when these teams groomed you from 9 years old until your senior year to be a catcher, and you was just a fine-tuned catcher. Like there's no reason you couldn't have got a scholarship in baseball too. So that's quite interesting to hear why you stopped playing. Now going into high school, you go into your sophomore year.
Definitely.
You this dominant kid. I remember you from junior high. You guys dominated in junior high. You, Iceman, Pooh. You guys were incredible. You guys were winning every game over at Jack Roby North and Jack Roby South. Now in basketball, we split. Y'all beat us one time, we beat y'all one time. But in football, it was no competition. You guys were amazing. Going into your sophomore year, you were starting at defensive back. You were on the map. You were hooting sophomore of the year. Tell me about that season. And how did it feel to be this young kid coming up and playing a sport where there's 18-year-olds out there and you're pretty much dominating from a defensive point?
Right. So what happened was, my 8th grade year, I never played an 8th grade game in my life. Coming over from Southeast to my 8th grade year, I was on the 9th grade team, started running back on our 9th grade team. And pretty much all the guys that I played with was a year older than me, but they all respected me. So going into my sophomore year, the juniors that year was all guys that I played with because I played on the 9th grade team. Yep. So coming in knowing that they had a lot of a belly of backs. I mean, they had Carlos Bowie and some of these other guys, great running backs. And I'm like, okay, well, I come in, I know y'all good and all, but, I'm Michael Williams. I'm Peanut. I'm finna play running back, and I'm finna start. Yes. And me and my buddy Iceman came in, James Iverson, he was saying the same thing. So we didn't quite get that opportunity off top coming in up to the summer leading up to that. But my mindset was, I'm a running back, but I'm a football player first. Yes. So I had an opportunity to compete with some of the guys at cornerback. And I was like, you know what, if this is my chance to get on the field, I'm going to play cornerback. And, from that point on, I was able to be appointed as a starter. First, actually, appointed as a starter before we went into the season. But it's still being a sophomore, they kind of didn't trust me all the way. But by the second game of the year, I was starting the whole year.
Wow. Okay. So by the second game you start. So I thought you only started on defense. So you actually played a little running back too your sophomore year.
Well, the thing is, in practice I only played running back my sophomore year. When it came down to the game, I was sitting there waiting to get in the game, and I never did. So it was kind of like to the point where I'm like, well, I'm going to put my all in on defense. Okay. In practice, don't even put me in at running back because I'm killing them at running back in practice, and not getting that opportunity because I feel like the coaches still had this, going based on the guys that they already had there, some of the guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That stigma of, he's a sophomore. We got guys that's stronger, faster, this and that.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. So okay, so you playing on the defensive side. What kind of numbers did you put up that year? Did you catch any interceptions? That year I had 4 interceptions. I can't remember exactly how many tackles I had that year, but I had a plethora of tackles and a lot of big hits. One of the hits that made a real name for myself is when we was playing Camden, and I got a chance to tackle this big old tight end they had at the time. Ended up playing for the Eagles. I ended up making a huge hit on him, which kind of put him out the game, and pretty much I made my name as a big time hitter. Gotcha.
So and kind of like when it came down to playing different teams, they kind of like stayed away from my side based on the fact that they were like, well, he's a sophomore, but he's the best cornerback they had. And so in the playoffs that year, we ended up playing the eventual state champions, Little Rock McClellan. They had this kid by the name of Dedrick Poole.
I remember.
I had played for Arkansas. Yeah, and I ended up making an interception on them as well.
Okay. So your sophomore year, you step up, you play good, you pretty much dominate the competition as far as your age group, because I know on our end that same year. I played a little bit of D-back my sophomore year, but I was with a 2A school. And, I did a little kick return, punt return, right. And I didn't do much my sophomore year. Ringo had a decent season,
right.
And Chris Evans had a really good season. But I know you and Chris Evans were named
Southeast
Arkansas Sophomore of the Year, both of y'all. That's just with the Southeast Arkansas. So that's a big thing.
Yeah, and I definitely remember that.
Yep. So now going into your junior year,
and
go ahead, Mike.
And just to button up the end.
Yeah.
That year we also had some great guys on our team that ended up playing big time college football. So it's kind of like one of them situations where I was just trying to fit in wherever I can fit in at. I was just trying to fit in, man, trying to be on those guys' level.
That's absolutely, because you guys had a really deep team. Because you think about it, Mark Bradley, Carlos Bowie, Cedric Taggart, Pooh. Because Pooh can still play too.
Andreas Williams.
I forgot about Andreas. Jonathan Goins. Man, you guys had a stacked team. That team was really stacked.
We were really stacked.
Yep. So now you're this superstar sophomore. You all Hooten sophomore of the year. You Southeastern Arkansas sophomore of the year along with Chris Evans. You're going into your junior year. Now you're at a point where you're not unknown. People know you're around campus. You're the big man on campus.
Right.
Right. You're doing big things now. How was it going into your junior year, and did you live up to expectations?
Going into my junior year, I was the big man on campus, and that kind of hurt me. I feel like in a ways, because my desire to work hard wasn't there as like it should have been. Coming up, I didn't have anybody showing me the exact way that it should be. Just like now, it's a lot different. I feel like if I had somebody showing me what to do, it would have been a lot better. But coming from my family, I'm really the only successful athlete in my family.
Yes,
my
exactly.
mom, my dad is a pastor there. He never played sports. My mom did play a little bit of softball, but just knowing the way to go and what to do and how to get better at it, I never had that. So going into my junior year, I put on probably about 20 pounds.
Wow.
I was working out occasionally, and coming in, they looking like, oh, well, we already know we're going to make you a running back, but dude, you turned into a linebacker size,
Yeah, exactly.
So coming into that year, coming to that year, I had a little bit of success playing cornerback, but I got the chance to get moved exclusively to running back. And I had a really good year that year at running back, but I felt like I could have been a lot better off than I was. And that was a year also we put in a new offense and pretty much running the spread offense that year.
Okay. Who was
Omar
quarterback
Blunt was our
Omar. Okay.
Omar Blunt. Yep, we put in the spread system. And that was pretty much unheard of coming from a Pine Bluff running back, because, we was primarily a running team, wishbone team, ever since I've grown up to know Pine Bluff High.
Yeah, exactly. And Pine Bluff High was always a wishbone. I interviewed the quarterback Blunt a few weeks ago, and that's what he was explaining. He was a good quarterback, but he said they ran that wishbone, and that wishbone was crazy.
Right.
I was used to Pine Bluff High running. So your junior year, you were running back. You have a good season rushing. You put on a few pounds because you became the superstar. You read your headlines. You probably got all the girls calling your numbers, following you around school. If I'm not mistaken, did you bleach your hair that year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
You know what? Yeah, that was my year with bleaching my hair. The reason why I bleached my hair, everybody asked me that.
Yeah.
Everybody want to know why I ended up bleaching my hair. Yes. Well, that year we was on a major baseball run.
Okay.
So, I played baseball every year. We were me and one of my best friends, Ricky Strain. We decided, because we was on a team full of Caucasian boys. So they all decided to dye their hair blonde. Me and Ricky said, you know what? If we make it to the regionals, we gonna dye our hair blonde too. And that's how I ended up dyeing my hair blonde. And by the time we came into the football season, picture time rolled around.
Yeah.
I was technically playing baseball.
Okay, got you. Okay, so that's why you did it. All right, so you go and you still there, Mike?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, I want to make sure. Okay, yeah. So you go and your sophomore year you do good. You go in your junior year you did good. I want to fall back a little bit and go back to your sophomore year as a baseball player playing for the legendary Billy Bach, who won so many state titles. Tell me about that. How was your junior year? What position did you play, and how did you perform in baseball that year?
Well, my sophomore year.
Yeah.
Sophomore year, and you can kind of, both of them can kind of go into one. My sophomore year, Billy Bach fell in love with me, especially as a punt returner as a sophomore. I didn't really get the opportunity to be the exclusive punt returner, but in practice, most cases, I'm the punt returner.
Yeah.
But that was primarily Mark Bradley that played for the Bears. He ended up being our punt returner.
Absolutely.
But Billy Bach fell in love with me because of the way I could track the ball. So I played left field and center field my sophomore year.
Okay.
My sophomore year, I was on track to start, but unfortunately, I still was a sophomore, and kind of, they're afraid of sophomores being out there in big moments. So I did play occasionally in left field, but I always was, because of my speed, I was always the pitch runner, So I ended up pitch running a lot, and we made it all the way to the state championship that game, and I got that year, and I got a chance to pitch run in for one of our pitchers at the time.
Okay.
But sophomore year baseball went really well.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. And then that's right. You guys did make it to the state championship. You didn't win though, right? What you lost to?
No, we didn't win it. We lost. Yeah, we lost 2-1. I think it was Texarkana we was playing. They had this pitcher that was pitching 100 at the time.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. I think he made it to the next level too, right?
Yep. He went to the next level. Sure did.
Okay. So your junior year in football, you have a good season, but you letting the headlines kind of get to you, and you're feeling good about yourself. So then you go into your senior year. You say, okay, this year I got to bounce back. This is the year I got to get myself prepared. I'm getting ready to go for scholarships. I'm getting ready to take a step to the next level. How did your senior year start, and how did you end up getting injured your senior year?
Well, this is where the story takes a turn for the worse. A lot of people don't know this part. The story took a turn for the worse because leading up to my senior year, probably right after when school was getting ready to get out, we used to have these fights with these guys at Washington Chapel all the time. And this time it turned for the worse. It was a lot of, I don't want to discuss it all the way extensively, but there was a lot of stuff involved to the point where I actually had to move away from Pine Bluff the summer leading up to my senior year.
Oh,
I got it, I had left that whole summer leading up to my senior year. I spent time in Forest City. It's actually this little town outside of Forest City, Arkansas called Madison.
I know Arkansas. What it is. I got family in Forest City. Yep.
I spent time up there, and I worked out at Forest City High School pretty much the whole summer. And my auntie had me in these prayer services Monday through Thursday, for 2 and 3 hours a day.
Trying to get you right.
And I came. Right, trying to get me right. So I came back in the fall of my senior year, ready to go. I actually toned up a lot. But unfortunately, the first game, the fall practice, we had a kind of like a red on white game. It's kind of like a fall game, like a little scrimmage. And one of our players fell on the back of my leg, and my ankle was I had a high severe ankle sprain.
Yeah.
So my senior season started off terrible. I got a chance to limp in. We had a jamboree. I got a chance to limp in that game and play against some of the greats.
Y'all played against us that game, and you carried the ball a couple of times, I remember, but you didn't seem like yourself. Because we were we were preparing for you and Iceman that game, and and you didn't seem like yourself that game.
I definitely wasn't myself. And we started the season. I actually came to start the season to the point where I kind of set out the first game of the season, and then second game of the season I kind of came back, but I was limping the whole time. And then by the third game of the season, I kind of found myself, they had to wrap my ankle up in tape and then spat my ankle. So I kind of limped into my senior season, but by the time the fourth game rolled around, I was almost back to my formal self.
Yeah. Okay. So then your first 4 games of senior year was pretty much a wash because you were just trying to get your ankle back right. So how did you perform those last 6 or 7 games?
Well, the good thing is we were on the road my senior year. We were 6-0. It's still, you can still pull it up. We were 6-0 rolling, and we were picked to pretty much go to state that year. I got back around the 4th game. I kind of started feeling like myself. 5th, 6th, 7th game of the year, Iceman got hurt, and pretty much I carried the team on my back. That was I think my best rushing career, best rushing game that season. I carried the ball 30 times for 270 yards against Texarkana.
30 times, put together 170 yards.
Yeah.
That might be a Pablo record, man. Because I think
it was until that next season, and Martell Mallett broke my record. A good thing I got a chance to mentor a lot of guys. That's something I did want to discuss, how I got a chance to mentor a lot of guys coming through. Cedric McBride, Martell Mallett, which everybody knows he played for the Eagles. That was a good team. NFL. He got a good chance to mentor some of those guys coming through. Got a chance to meet a lot of guys like Darren McFadden. He was a sophomore that year, and got a chance to meet him.
Yep.
And just build a lot of relationships throughout that time.
Yeah.
Finishing off the season, I finished off the season really well. We lost in the first round of the playoffs again to the state champions. Every year I was at Palmer 5, we lost to the state champions every year. The first year we lost to Cabot, which they had that hell of a running back that played for the Browns. What's their kid name?
You talking about Cabot?
Yeah, he played for Arkansas.
So you're talking about, he played with Dan McFadden and Felix, right?
Yep.
What's his name?
Yep.
I know you're talking about
Felix
Jones, Darren McFadden, and Peyton Hillis.
Peyton Hillis, played against Peyton Hillis that year. And I've told you that junior year we played against Desert Pool, and then that senior year we ended up losing to I think it was actually Darren McFadden's team. We actually ended up losing to, I think.
Yep. So your senior year, technically, to me, you still had a good year because you came back off ankle injury and you showed people that you still could play the running back position. You still could run. Just that one game, 30 carries for 270 yards.
Yeah.
Wow, like that's crazy. You know? So
man.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was definitely prepped for that season. That was actually the best offseason I ever had because I had no choice. Based on the situation that happened, and I had to move out to Madison. I had no choice but to be in tip-top shape. I figured if I would have never hurt my ankle, I probably would have rushed for about 2,000 yards that season.
Absolutely.
Because that was the best, the strongest I've ever been, the most in shape I've ever been, and everything. I was ripped.
Yeah, exactly. So your senior year, you guys make it to the first round. You lose out. You have a good year rushing after you recover from your ankle injury. How was the recruiting process, and did you get recruited like you wanted to? And what was the decision to go to Paul Quinn over a UAPB or a JUCO to try to go D1? What was your recruiting process like?
So the thing is about UAPB, and a lot of people ask me, why you just didn't go to UAPB? Well, UAPB never recruited me.
That's true.
They recruited me for baseball, and they wanted me to walk on football team, but they recruited me in baseball, and I didn't really want to play baseball, of course, because I quit my baseball that senior year to run track, so they never recruited me. I wanted to play for UAPB. They never recruited me. But then a lot of our recruitment was going by the wayside. Fast forward to now, that's why I am a recruiting coordinator. But back then, our recruiting went to the wayside. It was guys like my guy Kyron Burnett. He got a chance to get recruited by Prairie View, and I think he actually got recruited by I think maybe even Grambling. Guys that I'm looking around like and no slide to anybody, but I'm like, I'm better than this dude. How the hell I'm not getting recruited by pretty much anybody? Late in the ball game, I started sending out some tapes. Didn't know that I should have been sending out tapes the whole time because we knew this. My mom didn't know nothing about that part.
Let me tell you something real quick, Mike. And you talk about hold your thought, don't lose it. You talk about UAPB. A lot of people was wondering like how did you sign with UAPB when I signed? You know how I signed with UAPB? They didn't recruit me either. I was recruited by a couple of JUCOs and teams like Ouachita Baptist and Southern Arkansas, small schools. Right. But UAPB never recruited me. And my dad went to Tony Dow, and Tony Dow used to make highlight tapes, and he made me a highlight tape. And my dad walked in the Hartman office one day, just random, walked in his office, and he said, "Hey, I just wanted you, my son been sending these out to schools. We got a couple more left. I just wanted to make sure you saw his highlight film." And once he watched the highlight film, this man came from Dalloway. He coached at Dalloway. He should recruit Dalloway first, if anything. You should recruit, not Dalloway, but you should recruit Pine Bluff first, period. Everybody in Pine Bluff should get recruited first. And he wouldn't let my dad leave with the highlight tape. He said, "This kid played at Dalloway?" He's like, "Yeah." He said he called a couple of coaches in, And the coaches looked at it with my dad, and they said, "Oh, yeah, we've been looking for a kick returner, punt returner."
Wow.
And Coach Hartman said, "I got 3 scholarships left, and I'm gonna offer your son one." He said, "Can you bring him up here tomorrow?" And my dad was like, "Yeah." So he wouldn't let my dad leave with highlight film. The next day, my dad checked me out of school, took me to Coach Hartman's office at the Hyper. And I sat in there and I talked to some of the coaches. I talked to Coach Cannon. I talked to Coach Ragsdale. I talked to Coach Hartman. And he said, "Do you want to play at UAPB?" And I said, "Yeah, that's always been a dream of mine to play at home."
Right.
And I was like, "Shit, I'm not getting any more D1 offers." And so he said, "I'm going to offer you a scholarship." He said, "Monday morning," it was like a Thursday. He said, "Monday morning, you will receive a fax at the school and your coach will bring you in there." He said, "I'm going to send Pine Bluff commercial out and then they'll take a picture, you sign your scholarship, and then they'll interview you."
Wow.
So that's how it ended up. I didn't get recruited. Yeah, I didn't get recruited either. It's just that my dad went up there and showed the tape. So like you said, we didn't know that you're supposed to send out highlight tapes to these schools.
Yeah.
We didn't know
that's that's something that's been done on anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for listening to the PvR Sports Podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch new episodes and PvR clips. Like our Facebook page and share with your friends if you enjoyed this podcast. As we say in the South, catch you later.